I start? Hi everyone. My name is Harriet. I am the Communications and Marketing Placement student at CRRC, and I will be hosting this Instagram Live space for our launch of Black History Month. And to briefly start, we're going to start with the land acknowledgement that I will be reading. And the Community Race Relations Committee of Peterborough, CRRCP, respectfully acknowledges that we live, work, and gather and serve in Nogojiwanong, Peterborough, located on Treaty 20, the traditional treaty territory of the Mishi, Sagi, Anishinaabe, and Chippewa nations, including Curve Lake, Hiathwa, Alderville, Sukogong Island, Rama, Biu, Solil, and Georgina Island, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations. We recognize and continue to raise awareness of the historical and ongoing oppression of Indigenous peoples in Canada and in the Nogojiwanong, Peterborough, as it is felt and experienced by many generations to come. We give gratitude to the Williams Treaties First Nations for their stewardship and teachings about these lands and waters, and acknowledge the Williams Treaties First Nations as stewards and caretakers of this territory. May we continue to learn from, listen to, and build relationships from the first peoples of this land. May we continue to practice and embody positive race relations towards the goals and of anti-racism, anti-oppression, truth, reconciliation, and decolonization. And we're during this live, we're just going to be talking about Black futures and Black leadership, cultural diversity within the Black community, and Black wellness. To start, we can introduce our speakers. Does anyone want to go first?
Okay, I can go first. Hi, folks. My name is Kharington Petgrave. I am the Assistant Social Justice Educator with Race Relations Peterborough. Pronouns are he, him. Um, I have a background in studying history, and also I am an educator with the Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board, and my major focus is decolonizing education. And my work with CRRC is putting on these immersive community workshops, either with the community at large in and around Peterborough and or private bookings, just to sort of build some deep and immersive knowledge about anti-racism. And I am very thankful to be part of this conversation.
Someone want to go next?
Hi, okay. My name is Makanju Adebayo. My pronouns are he and him. I'm the program and events facilitator at CRRC. Part of my duty has to be bordered around development, planning, and implementation of programs and facilitating them. There's also the wellness aspect to it. I'm co-creating with my colleagues. I'm a student, a doctoral candidate, a PhD candidate at Trent, with research interest in aging and health, the trained health economist. So this is my, I think, fourth degree, thereabouts. It's been fun working in charities here, and I look forward to having a great month ahead. So thank you.
I was gonna say there's always that awkward time between transition where people are sitting in silence wondering if they're gonna cut somebody off. Anyways, I wanted to acknowledge that. My name is Will, he, they. I'm biracial, trans, queer, settler, living in Nogojiwanong. My main focuses are decolonization, especially institutions like healthcare, education, policing, and I love to partner with people and walk around downtown and talk about issues, especially when they make other people uncomfortable. Um, because uncomfy conversations are usually the necessary ones. I'm glad to be here, and I'll pass it off to Victor, so there's not like another awkward silence.
Victor, Wacera, who wants to go?
Hi, I'm Victor, and I'm a nursing student at Trent University, and I'm placed at the Impact with CRRC, and I'll just be working with them to help with anything they need, basically. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Wacera. I'm a fourth year in International Development and History, and I'm also with the Impact Leadership Program at Trent, and I'm doing a placement with the CRRC. And I am also a great fan of uncomfortable conversations because I think beautiful things can come out of them. So I'm super excited to be here.
Thank you. We also didn't do a vibe check, if anyone wants to kick that off. Does anyone want to go first?
I'll go again. Let me turn my video on. I am feeling thrilled that my audio is working. We have bested technical difficulties many a time in this conversation. I'm just thankful that folks could hear me. It's been a real turnaround, a real trying period from these last 15 minutes. That's how I'm doing.
I think on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm at a 7. I'm excited to be here, but I don't know, these last couple of days I've had like, the sun is shining, but it's super cold. So I don't know, just getting used to that, yeah, I'm adjusting.
For me, I would say I'm great, but this week I've been kind of busy a lot with like assignments and for my placement tomorrow, I'll be giving a medication to my patient, which is kind of nerve-wracking. And I pray I did that well. So yeah, it's been good.
That's good.
I would rate myself on a scale of 10, say 8. I'm grateful. It's been a great week, extremely productive, met lovely people, had lovely dishes, and so I'm excited, so I'm grateful. Yeah. Though it's cold, but then yeah, I'm still grateful. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna jump off of that and say, yeah, I'm really grateful for not only food, which I'm always grateful for, but like a circle of people that are kind and patient and compassionate because I know that going into Black History Month, there's like both a lot of highs and both a lot of lows for me specifically. So yeah.
Great introduction. I think now we can like start with the conversation. And the first topic that we're going to be diving into would be Black futures and how am I doing today? I am doing fine. I was nervous coming in, but I think now I'm fine. Okay. Black futures and Black leadership. I know for me, I grew up in Nigeria, so I only ever saw like Black leadership. So that was never really like a problem for me. I never had to worry about seeing Black leaders around me. So my first question would be, who are your role models for like looking for Black leaders and how have they paved ways in Black leadership around you and your workplace and your personal life? Okay, so who wants to go first?
I can start off and talk about leadership in the ways of seeing musician like Nina Simone, I think, growing up, speaking about political things within art as creating a bridge between activism and art, I think, has always been very monumental for me. Um, and yeah, I'll cut it off there because I think it's too long.
So I'll go next. I grew up in Nigeria also. So aside having blacks in Nigeria that were like my role model, um, I've had some that have been international, and one is Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell was a Black American economist and sociologist, and he had a lot of his research was centered around issues that were most important to the Black to the racialized community. He had works on race and housing. He had works on he was also a spectacular person and someone I always looked up to, and I molded my career, and that's part of the reason why I'm an health economist today, where I can have the most impact. And so that's been a role model I've had. Yeah.
Does anybody else want to?
Yeah, I also grew up in Nigeria, so surrounded with like little Black activists and little Black people. But moving over here, I've learned a lot about like other Black activists and other Black people that fought for like racism and fought for equality. One person I would say that stuck out to me was William Du Bois. So instead of like all these people that like all these people that fought for racism, he actually wrote a lot of theories and lots of articles about racism, about like Black people and about coming out of this double consciousness, how Black people see themselves not just from like the Black perspective, but also from like a white perspective. So that was like a really interesting thing to read. So yeah, William Du Bois, you guys should read about him if you haven't.
I think I grew up in Kenya, and I think maybe a bit contentious of me to say, but I feel like I have been exposed to both good and bad leadership. And I think that they have both worked to shape what I believe could be a future for Black people. Because I've seen what I don't want, I've seen what I don't like, I've seen what I don't respect. And so reading about people like Angela Davis or Wangari Maathai, or even more historic characters like Mekatilili Wamenza, I'm just like, wow, there are people who put their life on the line to make things happen and who stood with integrity and said, this is the way that I think is best and this is the way that I'm going to go. And so, yeah, I'm grateful for my experiences, and I'm grateful for people who embody that completely.
Can I just chip in something? Yeah. So I haven't grown up in Africa and seeing the struggle in South Africa. A striking story in South Africa. It's made me, as a young boy, it made me understand the concept and the importance of interracial conflicts, both on an economic aspects and lived experience aspects. And then I want to move to the Western world, where as a Black person, I'm a minority. That external conflict has now become an internalized conflict because I'm now, it was a bit more distance, but now it's now proximate, it's not close to me. And it's quite overwhelming, and it's quite stressful, So yeah.
If I could just jump into the conversation as well, I think that sort of similar to Wacera, I've experienced all sorts of types of Black leadership, some in the Hotepi direction that is not necessarily something I want to emulate. And I find that the leadership that I'm looking for, the type that sort of speaks to this all-encompassing love of community and love of others, is like Black women have always been leading the movement in that way. So I'm most inspired by bell hooks in particular, both as an educator and just as an activist. Bell hooks has this theory. She talks about theory as a liberatory practice. She says that for Black folks, we are born experiencing such incomprehensible things that sometimes by learning to deconstruct it academically, that's the only way to make sense of experiences that inherently don't make sense. It's the only way to find a logic in these experiences that in fact defy logic. So finding those pieces of like education is something that is necessary to me understanding my own experience, because mine own lying eyes deceive me. That's a unique power that bell hooks has held for me. So yeah, that's one of my role models for sure.
Those are really, really nice. I think everyone here is obviously a part of the CRCC team, and we all like have our own respective roles. And in each of your respective roles, do you see yourself as leaders in what you do?
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. I've been in Canada for a short while, but CRCC has even during the onboarding process and from on the job experience, I see myself as a leader and an emerging leader, and hopefully in the next future, a leading leader. If it's anything like that, like a leader that leads, yeah, at the forefront of the racial struggle, yeah. Because CLCC is as a workplace or like a community of people, just equips you, and it's a place where we have a lot of critical thinkers and people that are like they stress you mentally in order to think and in order to apply those thoughts into solving real life issues and real life problems. With relationship is not just theoretical; it's a practical thing. It's something that happens to every single person that is racialized in Canada and probably in the Western world. So it's yeah, I see myself being a leader, and I see myself as a leader. Yeah. So yeah.
I think for me, being a placement student here this semester, I see myself more as a learner, and I don't think that should be distanced from leadership, because I think an important part of leadership is the understanding that you always need to be learning. So I'm here, I'm learning, and I'm excited, and I think that it's an important um, part of my leadership journey.
Yeah, following up from Adebayo and Wacera said, I feel my own leadership journey is more about learning more about myself and learning more about how to be authentic, like an authentic leadership, and learning more about how to kind of be transparent and reflect myself in order to lead others. So this is kind of like a step towards that.
I think I'll just jump off of that as well, from saying that it's a dualistic thing of both being a learner so that you can be a better leader, and lead so that you can be a better learner. Um, and so having be symbiotic in the way of, I don't know, a teacher and student perspective. I think I I like, I don't know, to take both sides, because I feel like I equally have a lot to offer, just as a lot to always learn from other people.
Kharington, are you ready to add?
Yeah, I was. Thank you. I would agree. I think like the conversation, especially as an educator, of leadership and learning being separate is something that like it's a rare experience for educators, because I think there's that double bind. I think often Black folks are placed into positions of leadership because what is obvious to us, what our experiences have made us painfully aware of, is new learning for others. And I think that oftentimes we walk into these spaces with expertise that I don't think we recognize is expertise. I think we're moving into a world where EDI is sort of like a buzzword, whereas this natural language of inclusion, this natural language of acknowledgement, I think many of us in the Black community have that thing where, like, inherently when you notice someone that looks like you nod at them in the street. That acknowledgement of everybody, that's innate to us. So I think I'm being put in positions where my own experience is valued, and or if not valued, it's necessary, even in spaces where it's subversive. So I think there's like that idea that being Black is just fundamentally disruptive, and it naturally draws eyes in these spaces where we dare to transgress, these spaces where we dare to occupy space. So I think it's hard to be Black and not a leader, because naturally our inclination is to push boundaries. Our very existence is disruptive. And why not maximize that disruptive potential?
Patricia has joined us. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. It's so great to be here. I just caught the tail end of what Kharington was saying, but I couldn't agree more. Anyways, my name is Patricia Wilson. I am the Community Advocate and Outreach Coordinator with CRRC, and I'm also the founder of Diverse Nature Collective, which is an organization that is dedicated to mobilizing and creating space for racialized folks who want to be part of the environmental movement and recreate in the outdoor environment. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. Hello, everyone.
We're just about to round up the discussion on Black leadership, and the last question is, what kind of future are you hoping to see for yourself and in the community around Black leadership? Like, what do you want to see more?
What do I want to see more of in terms of Black leadership? I just got out of a conversation at Trent with student groups that are coming together to kind of create a sustainability plan. And we had a lot of Black student leaders come out to this conversation. And I think what I would really love to see more from Black leadership is having more young leaders taking up space and lending their voice to issues that matter. And I think what I'd like to see from Black leadership, I guess in a community level, is I just want to see more of it. I just want to see more of it. There's a bunch of people doing amazing work, and I would also really love to see more community, so more folks coming together to utilize resources and to like get together with like-minded organizations that are doing work and like uplift each other. So I love the like uplifting of community as well, and that's what I would love to see from leadership, is more resource sharing and uplifting of each other, and collaborating and connecting to kind of just be louder and take up more space.
Does anyone else want to add any 2 cents? No.
Okay, so for myself, I see a future where I can work freely. My productive outputs are not judged based on the color of my skin, but based on it being actually productive. I want to see a Black community where there's more unison, where we're more united, where there are leaders that are empowered to fight inequities and injustice. I want to see a Black community that is empowered economically, intellectually, and financially. I want to see a future where there's less inequities across multi-sectoral parts of society. I want to see a society where there's the social liberation, there's financial liberation, and there's also ethical liberation, where a Black man can vie to become the Prime Minister of Canada. It happened in the US, so why not Canada? Where Peterborough can have a Black mayor. We must have one, so it's possible. Where Peterborough in particular has less that reputation of having one of the most racial, how would I put it, one of the communities that has per capita one of the highest incidents of racial abuse. It is it changes, where my newborn kid can go to school and not be victimized or racialized or treated differently, where he will be allowed to bear a traditional African name and not be discriminated against when it's almost a CV. Just lots of opportunity where we can access opportunity. A society that is free and fair. It might not be, it's absolutely no society that can be free and fair. We know that there's no utopia, but at least something close to that, Yeah. So yeah, that's just my aim, my goal, and my prayer. And so yep.
Those are really nice.
I think just jumping off that, talking about the next generation, and I guess even to a certain extent, this generation ourselves, in the leadership, I would hope for a future where we are not our own greatest enemies socially, but also in our own heads, telling ourselves how we do not deserve to be in this space. I shouldn't talk so loud. Oh my gosh, I shouldn't wear my earrings because no one else has earrings like this and it looks so traditional. Just learning to outlearn these voices and doing so that the next generation doesn't have to suffer from the same toxic in a world that we have created for ourselves or that we have learned through all the things that are going on in the world. Just a healthier inner world for ourselves and for the next generation so that we can be the best versions of ourselves. I think that's a future that I hope for.
That's such an incredible point, Wacera, and I feel like that's where I was thinking as well. When I think of what I want to see from Black leadership, I think of the response that a lot of elders in our community had to, for example, like a provocateur like Lil Nas X, right? This idea that we have to sort of amputate, we need to segment off some section of our community so that the rest of us might thrive, that respectability politic. And I would love to see a vision of Black leadership wherein it's this no man left behind, especially not our LGBTQ brothers, sisters, and siblings. This idea that there's many forms of Blackness, and that all forms of Blackness both are equally valid and are equally deserving of love, equally deserving of space to thrive. I think a sense of Black leadership that says, check some of your Blackness at the door, check some of your experience at the door. Is Black leadership not? It is respectability, and it is, in some ways, it's mirroring white supremacy and saying that your Blackness is too big to exist in this space. And I would love to see a leadership, again, referring back to Bell Hooks, it's that all-encompassing love of all others who look like us, all others who share experience all across.
Those are all really important and well thought of points. And I think personally, everything you guys have said is something that I also would like to see in a community like Peterborough, where like we're the minority. Like I grew up in Nigeria where Black people are the majority. I don't see anything other than Black people because that's obviously like the majority there. But moving on, we're going to be talking about embracing cultural diversity within the Black community. And if anyone is comfortable sharing, you can tell us your ethnic background, your religious background, your cultural group, and community. Does anyone want to start? Will? No?
I can start.
Okay.
My mom's from Quebec and my dad's from Barbados. So I don't know, like a very, very white and very, very Black experience within the family. However, my external experience, like growing up, has always been that of relative to who surrounds me. And so growing up in an all-white community, I'm definitely not white. And so I was treated as such. So that looks like, I don't know, cutting gum out of my hair, like regularly coming off of the school bus, or like growing up always thinking that, oh, I had to do something to get my skin lighter, because the environment of which I was surrounded in has always portrayed me as a proximity of negativity due to my proximity to blackness. And that connotation or paradigm that is false has permeated within my whole life and everybody's whole life in different ways. But it has been a remix based off of where you grow up, your family, your culture, your religion. We weren't very religious, however. On my dad's side, he's Caribbean and also Christian. There was a lot of transphobia. And so also being trans within that space, it was kind of like a catch 22 of like, on one side, I don't relate based off of race, and on the other, I don't relate based off of gender identity. Um, and so it puts me at intersections of multiple, I guess, um, which I'm very grateful to have because it gives me a better perspective and empathy for others.
Anyone want to speak? No?
I'll jump in. I am Kenyan and I've lived my entire life on the continent until I came here for university in 2019. And I think something you said, Will, that stood out to me is just, and again, because we're talking about futures and stuff, I think, again, as a history minor, this is something that comes up for me. It's just how discourses relating to the color of our skin and the proximity to whiteness is still also so ingrained on the continent itself. Yes, like Adebayo and Harriet said earlier, like, yes, you just see Black leadership and you are used to being the majority in your country. However, the hierarchy of skin color still exists. And I think if we're talking about futures, I think that's something that we need to address as well. Just how deeply ingrained in a toxic way this hierarchy still exists in places that we consider ourselves to be the majority, just how we police ourselves. I don't know how that contributes to the conversation, but I thought that I should mention it.
It's all encompassing. It's okay.
Okay, so let me just chip in, like you followed up. And there's a term coined for that. It's called demonstration effects. And the demonstration effect is probably highest in Africa, where we try to imitate the Western lifestyle. Yeah, bleach our skins. Everything fairer is better. Everything foreign is better. Everything that sounds like slangs is better. So it's fun, but the beauty about it is I think as Africans, we in as much as we had the like the military colonization, we also had economic colonization. We also had the cultural colonization. It was really that bad in Nigeria that they even had to stop music in churches because they said the African music was evil. And if you're African, music is like a means of us communicating. It's like the way we write and it's the way we transmit information from generation to generation. It's the way we profess our love. It's the way we are very, very active people. We're very, very jumpy people and very vibrant, So it's good. But the beauty of our life is I came into Canada and it's beautiful seeing different racialized groups, people going to an eatery and you're seeing there's an Indian person, there's a Caucasian, there's a Black person. It's beautiful. We just need to walk on how to improve harmony, and I think things will get better, but there's a need for work because there's a problem. So that's just my take.
Yeah. You guys also think that it's important to embrace cultural diversity within the Black community when fostering relationships with new people?
Yeah, it's important, there's this normal proverb like a house that doesn't stand together won't stand, Um, Africans and Blacks and people in the Caribbean, I think among all different racial groups, we are the most disunited. And it's not just, I'm not just saying it is a fact. And we all know this, If we can't come together and have a oneness of purpose, you get like oneness of ideas and look for ways of how to propagate and improve our culture and sell it to the world. Nobody buys what you don't sell, So it's I think it's high time we come together, merge together. Black is black, whether you like it, whether you're from the Caribbean or from Africa, black is black. And it's rich, we have a rich cultural identity. So we just need to come together, merge together, and share ideas and culture, and it's better for the community, Yeah. Okay.
Kharington, we're gonna add.
Yeah, I just recently completed a course on cultural and linguistic diversity, and something that we talked about was the idea of our diversity being an asset, our rich linguistic experiences, for in the case of that course, specifically linguistically, being an asset. And I thought, in my own experience, just the amount of extra that I brought, extra assets, that is not like I brought extra in general, but extra assets that I brought to like a classroom space. For example, I grew up in like Southern Ontario in the GTA, so I had like this Ontario hockey boy, what up, like that thing. I had like standard American, I had African American vernacular English, I had my parents like my mom's Trini Patois and my dad's Jamaican Patois. So that's like 5 different types of English that I was bringing to like every conversation. And think of the diversity even within Blackness to bring 5 different ways of fundamentally understanding the world, 5 different ways that language allows us to relate to the world. And again, that's only speaking about language. Think of culture, think of media, think of dance, think of just lived experience in the massive ways in which our experiences are different that fundamentally forms these different ideas and ways of looking at the world. There's like in many ways, Blackness is not a monolith, sort of as Bio was alluding to, but even within one specific subsection of your community, again, the diversity is endless. So I think it's so important to value the many different forms and experiences that Blackness takes.
Yes. Does anyone want to share their favorite thing from their culture before we move on to Black wellness?
I think, oh, sorry, go ahead, Victor.
For my culture, I'm Igbo, so that's like a Nigerian culture, and mine is the food. We have like the most beautiful and most delicious food ever compared to like the other cultures in Nigeria. Sorry, and and we have like our music is really good, and we have like dances. Like we have these cultural festivals. Like in my village, we have cultural festivals. We have like masquerade. I know a lot of people kind of don't like the aspects of the Nigerian culture, but I do love it because of like it's good to be part of the land. So I love like the masquerade and the dances and all those festivals. It's really beautiful.
I think I was also gonna say food, and not necessarily like the types of food that we cook, but like the tradition around food. Absolutely love how the whole family comes together around a meal, and it's just laughter and love and warmth and full stomachs. And I love that. I love that aspect of culture.
So I would say poetry. I'm Nigerian, I'm Yoruba, and we have this thing for oral poetry. It's beautiful. Like when you start speaking about your generations and psyching you up, it's gorgeous, you know. It just speaks to the beauty of generation. It just speaks to the beauty of the land. It captures the essence of living, and it's beautiful, you know, poetry. So it's lovely, and I would, yeah, poetry.
Does anyone else want to add?
I would say for Afro-Caribbean folks, at least my experience is laughter. That experience of profound joy. To tell a brief anecdote, like I've experienced some loss in my life, and I think being in university and sort of experiencing how like white folks, or at least in this institution, it's largely white folks, their experience of wellness is a lot of like home whispering and cooing, a lot of soothing, talking you off the ledge. It's a lot of that. And for me, my experience as a black person has been when someone comes to you talking like that, they're trying to figure out if there's like some deficit in your life. They're trying to figure out like where your dad went. You know, they're like a social worker trying to pry into your experience, probably for predatory reasons. And I think of how wellness and soothing has been in my experience, and for the black women in my life in particular that have soothed me, it's laughter, it's telling jokes, it's making a meal, it's showing up for people. Wellness doesn't look like that, for, at least for me. And I think like that fundamental, if I want to have this person feel well and connect to their most authentic self, the way to do it is through a smile. The way to do it is through a joke. The way to do it is through a story. And I think that's so beautiful, especially because Trinity's be talking. Trinity's be talking so much. If you ever ask a Trinity to tell you a story, it'll last 8 years. So I think that's just such a beautiful part of my culture that I love to share with others.
I think just piggybacking off of what you just said, what does Black wellness mean to you guys? Because I think like Kharington said, I love laughing. I'm forever laughing with my friends. Like if I'm not laughing, I'm probably really sad about something. And then just say one joke and I'll start laughing. I'm a big laugher. So what does that look like to you guys?
Well, I just started reading this book, Sisters of the Yam, Black Women and Self-Recovery by Bell Hooks, that I've been carrying in my bag everywhere. I see Will giggling because I have whipped this book out every 4 seconds since I got it. But there's this reconception of joy, again, and it's a Bell Hooks book, that Bell Hooks says that joy is the ability to leverage our superpowers to our maximum potential. And I would add, in particular, doing that for a group, a community that loves you, being able to leverage our powers for the folks that care about us. And I think that's part of Black wellness. Part of Black wellness is connectedness. I think there's a lot of, again, mental health discourse, again, coming out of the whispering, cooing variety, that it's all individualistic. It's all I see on Instagram all the time because I be following all of them like attachment theory Instagram pages, and they always say like, you know that you have a childhood wound. If you feel the need to react to things and everything, you should be able to bottle up no matter what happens. Like it's sort of that idea of like everything happens in your head with wellness when it's outside of our community, I think. And I think for us, at least in my Afro-Caribbean experience, wellness is about community. It's about being there for other people. So much of wellness is about how well can I take care of the village, the community? How can I send some barrels back to the folks that need it in the Caribbean? How do I show up? How do I like see this little Black kid with their hair looking all jacked up, and some church auntie is going to take you home every Sunday and fix it up for you? That's what community is. That's what wellness is for us. So it's all about service.
So good. Anyone else? Any takers?
I think I can go. Oh, sorry. Okay. I just wanted to hop on that train because I think it's all about wellness and being there in the very real ways of caring for one another. And it always goes back to the basics of food, music, spending time, literally being there with either your elder or caring for your younger siblings or younger people within the family. Because I think even today we can see how pushed to the margins, how much of a burden um, caring for one another feels like. Like you lose out on life, you lose money for caring for one another. And it feels so backwards because it is. Um, and so bringing it back to like community-based practices, community care, I think it's always where it's at.
Wacera, do you still want to add?
No, I think that was beautifully said. So I'm sitting in that.
Before we conclude, do you think it's important for anti-racism organizations to always educate Black people or people of like Black people and people of color about what Black wellness means in communities? Like, is it a part of their job description to have to do that for Black people? Anyone? No one?
Sorry, what could you repeat the question? I'm just trying to understand what you're asking.
Do you think that it is like important for anti-racism organizations to have to educate Black people and people of color about Black wellness and wellness in the Black community? Like, would it be a part of their job description to have to do that?
I think if I get what you're saying, of course, I was on Instagram and I was scrolling, and I passed through this post that was talking about how there was a study being done about how depression was showing up differently for Black women. I was like, oh wow, it's just like if I'm going off in the same vein, it's just like wellness looks different in different communities, and so maybe that is something that we should talk more about. It's just like, don't look for the normal signs that you're used to. This is how it looks like for them. So I think, again, this is things that are just coming up now. So maybe we should have more conversation about it, yeah, and not tie even ourselves down to it. Maybe I'm not well because I'm not doing such and such and such a thing. Whereas in your community, it's just like we said, it's families taking care of people. It's being surrounded by your community. So not tying ourselves to one, should I call it binary? I don't think I call it binary. Like to one set of what wellness looks like when it's defined as another for our community. So I think it's definitely something that should have more conversation, I think.
Yeah, so I see the question. So the question is, do we think it's important to in anti-racism work to educate people about BIPOC wellness and Black wellness? Why or why not? So I think yes, if we're doing this anti-racism work, I think it is important to introduce folks who may be non-Black folks, or white folks, in our training. I think that we should be educating them on what Black wellness looks like, because I think, as Wacera was mentioning, wellness for Black communities and Black folks looks different than wellness that is, maybe seen as more mainstream, right? Or the ways that wellness looks to one person might look different to another, right? And so I think that when you're approaching anti-racism work, and you're educating folks on, anti-racism and how to implement that in their workplaces, also talking about and touching on Black wellness and Black mental health is really important, because it's not well known or commonly. I think that a lot of organizations maybe don't have those tools in their toolbox. They don't know about what that might look like. And so I think by educating them, they can also better support their Black staff members or Black, participants that come out to their event, or, stakeholders that they work with that might be Black, right? And so like it gives a more well-rounded understanding. I hope that I answered that okay, but I just wanted to clarify the question as well.
That was a good answer.
When I think about the necessity for Black folks to sort of become connected to wellness, I think of that James Baldwin quote, and he says, "To be Black and relatively conscious is to be enraged all of the time." It's and the pain that that has on your body, the wear and tear of moving through a world that rarely loves you back is deeply traumatic, deeply traumatic in a way that is profound, in a way, and to such a depth that I don't think most Black folks can even reconcile. I don't even think, in my experience, recognizing like the pain of the world, for example, like Ta-Nehisi Coates has this moment where he talks about it in the world, but in the Between the World and Me, and he's talking about um like the moment that his Black son at like 12 or 13 saw Trayvon Martin's case, like the and George Zimmerman get acquitted. And it's that moment, that existential dread of every day of my life, I might be subjected to that same fate. And I walk with that in my backpack. That's it. That's with me everywhere. And he says that his son like goes and closes the door and he just sits in that experience and he says, like, I cannot soothe you. I cannot fix this. That's traumatic for both child and parent. And we live with that every day and we walk with that every day. And I don't even know if Black folks have the face to unpack that as pain and to recognize that as pain because we have to keep moving. If we stop and bend down because we got hit, then like you are only making yourself a bigger target to get hit by the next thing tomorrow. Because like again, Blackness is so many things coming at you all at once, especially with intersectional identities on top of Blackness. Yes, and I find that like in my own mental health process, my connecting to these, my naming and recognizing these experiences as pain has only been because of these like equity spaces. So it is a profound need for sure.
Yes. I'm just going off of what you said. Do you think there would be a time where with we won't have to say Black wellness when talking about like wellness attached to Black people? Like, would there be a time where it's like it's not everything's equal in that sense?
Mm. I like that idea. I in teaching we call that universal design. It's the idea that what is necessary to some is helpful for all. And I think all therapy and all wellness could benefit from some of the ways in which, like I was saying, Afro-Caribbean folks love a little tee-hee and a ha-ha. I think all communities could benefit from that. I think all community like I think we should all have to read The Color Purple and The Bluest Eye and those Black women who have been pioneers and really talking about pain in a literary, beautiful, poetic way. Because I think those books speak to everyone. I would love to see a space where therapy is not designed with other communities in mind, with the majority in mind. I don't know. I don't know. Like I sort of love the special title of like Black wellness because it it I would love if all wellness served all people, but I like the segregation of segregation is a poor choice of words. I like the separate my bad, my bad. What I mean, I like I like the name of Black and wellness together. I like those two together because it speaks to like a radical scope. It speaks to like the namesake inspires action. It keeps it targeted to the community in question. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything to add on the topic before we
I I think I just have that was beautifully well said. Um, I enjoyed that very much. So, but when I think of Black wellness, I think of social emergency medicine. Um, because it is taking lives. It is heightening blood pressure. It is killing people to be experiencing racism in many, many, many different ways. Um, and I think is necessary as well as beautiful to think about the future of where that is more normalized.
And I think we are done with the conversation. Just to round up, is there anything you guys are most looking forward to this month in terms of Black History Month? Anyone have anything to plug that's happening?
I'm looking forward to looking at Black Lives Matter are highlighting 30 people within Peterborough, 30 Black people within Peterborough, and a short little bio on their Instagram. So look forward to that because I think it gives a better picture of the diverse array of experiences and like cute people out there in the world also living their best lives. Did I cut out? No way. I don't know what was her last, but check out BLM Nogojiwanong on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm personally looking forward to the Black Artist Showcase on February 10th at Market Hall downtown. So everyone should attend. Does anyone else have anything else?
I'm looking forward to this Friday. Diverse Nature Collective, in partnership with the TCSA, is doing a Black History Month snowshoe. So we'll be snowshoeing on campus from 1 to 3. And then at the end of this month, I'm also leading a Black History Month walk with Kawartha Land Trust for the community on February 25th. So we're going to talk about Black excellence in the environmental sector, what that looks like while snowshoeing through nature. So I think that'll be great. And then, of course, CRRC has a lot of amazing events coming up as well. We have the Black History Month music event on February 10th and the Black History Month brunch symposium on February 11th as well.
Yes. And to wrap up, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone for joining. All the speakers. It was nice talking to you guys. And for everyone that tuned in, it was nice having you guys here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Shout out Harriet, you did such a great job. We love a good
Thank you.
Harriet. You can now breathe.